Hey there, fam. How's it going? I want the episode of At the Table. Got this little mini table right now, so we know it's legit. I know it's a little different. The area's been bouncing around, but it's what we got for today, and so we're going to work with. I had the pleasure and the honor of being part of this thing called a men's huddle. One of my really good friends of mine, he's the pastor of Generation Church, Rich Romero. He's an amazing friend. We've been friends for a very long time. I know when he preaches, he brings the word. And it's just a phenomenal place to go. I definitely recommend to visit. If you don't have a home church, that's definitely one to go to because phenomenal area. I'll put their information right over here. Also putting the link in the bio and all their details. But in this men huddle, right, it was about 100 men. We all got together and we kind of just had fellowship. We hung out, we talked, do things, right? And Rich brought, a phenomenal word. Pastor Rich brought a phenomenal word. And I took some notes. And in that, I wanted to bring something with you because, we had to talk, here at the table. So I wanted to share what I received there, the information I got there, the blessing that it was to be there, share with you guys. And one of the biggest topics that we talked about was Proverbs 31, right? We all know it as, what, it is to find an ideal woman. But the first portion of it talks about, our duties as a man, and how we should take care of our women and how we should be as a man, and the kingship that we should have. And the way he broke it down, I'm pretty sure they're going to put up either like in notes somewhere, but I don't want to like take too much of the information because there's some stuff there that is definitely, I want you guys to go and watch that. So if you go Generation Church, he talks about it, phenomenal. But it was interesting because he said something that, rang so true. And it was a lot of times, we might be saying, guys and girls, but it was mostly focused on guys like, oh, I'm doing this, but it's not really hurting anybody. Right? No one's going to see this. This doesn't really affect anybody else. But see, if it affects you, it's affecting somebody, right? And you could be an example. You could be an influence for someone without even knowing that you're doing that. Right? You could be an influence to someone at your job. You could be an influence to someone at your school. You could be an influence to someone in your community, and you have no idea, right? Those little eyes are looking at you at all times. Some good, some bad, obviously. But we can't just say, oh, you know what? Like, I don't have a position of authority. I don't have a position of leadership. Nothing like that. Like, no one's going to notice if I do something wrong or if I go off the path. Well, God does, right? And he wants to make sure you're good. He wants to make sure you're okay. And he wants to make sure you're leading your life the proper way. It was also interesting because when he brought it up, we're all kind of like, yeah, that makes sense, right? Some of us are fathers. Some of us are husbands. Some of them are boyfriends. Some of us are, might be like bosses and leaders and whatever, right? But we all hold some type of title, right? Unless, like, you are like in elementary school, you do something, right? You're a captain on a football team, a basketball team, whatever, a youth group, lo que sea. But the weight, right, that falls on our shoulders as leaders, right, as men, is something that, how can I put it this way? It's something that you have to be careful with, right? Because there's one thing in saying, like, you take on the world and pretend you're Jesus, and that's not what we're trying to do here. There's another thing of, like, not taking responsibility at all. No. Like, you're supposed to lead. You're supposed to be, go lead the example. Be the person God's called you to be, the father, the leader, the man that God's called you to be. But you got to learn how to carry that weight, right? Because, and this is a phrase that I've heard multiple times. I know he used it, in there too. You're in the middle of what you used to pray for. Right? A lot of times we pray for this. Lord, give me more. Give me, more responsibilities. Give me more finances. Give me more, whatever. Insert your thing there. But then when you get more and what all that comes with, you start complaining. You can't complain about having more when you wanted more, right? You can't complain about having a full plate when the goal is always to eat, right? That, it struck me because how many times do we not say that, about ourselves? We're like, oh Lord, I want, a new promotion. I want to be able to, increase my finances. All right, well, increasing the finances, there's other things that too. Now you have to budget yourself properly and not fall into, wildly spending. You want to go into a position of leadership. All right, well, now people look up to you. People depend on you. You can't just hide, in the background. You can't just hide, amongst other people, right? So when I thought about that, it was interesting because I was then taken to Matthew 11, 29 and 30, right? We have to learn how to carry the weight. And it says there, take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. It never once says there, right? We'll go back to verse 30. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. It doesn't say you don't have a yoke, and it does not say that you don't have a burden. It just says that the yoke is easy and the burden is light, right? The Bible says to cast all your cares, onto him. So it's not saying you're going to go through something, right? Like it says over in Isaiah, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. It doesn't say that the weapon won't be formed, it just won't prosper, right? It doesn't mean you're going to, get in front of a Goliath. It does not mean you're going to get in front of a Red Sea. It does not mean you're going to get in front of people trying to throw you into a lion spear, trying to throw you into some fire. It's not saying that you won't go and face adversity. It's going to say, the Bible says that greater is he is in you than he is in the world, right? That 1,000 fall at your side and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. That though the enemy tries to attack you in different ways, it's not going to prosper, right? That you can do all things through Christ that strengthens you. Yeah, many of the afflictions of the righteous, but out of all of them, God's going to liberate you from them. Yeah, there's things in your life that you have to fight. There's things in your life that there's going to be battles that you have to go through. But see, the thing is, and I want to really exert you guys to understand that, is that just because you're in a war doesn't mean you do something wrong. Right? It doesn't mean you're out of the will of God. It doesn't mean that you are going and straying away. Now, obviously, if you are, then get yourself correct yourself, get yourself right on the right path. But it could be that you're so focused, you're so dialed that the enemy is like, hold on, if I don't knock him off, if I don't knock her off, they're about to be a real threat. They're about to inflict, real damage to what I'm trying to do to these plans. And I've said it so many times before. If the devil can destroy you, which he can't, then what he will do is try to distract you. Right? He's going to try to throw things in your way. You know what? Yes, you are an amazing leader. What? You are an amazing boss. And you just start filling and, and feeding into that pride portion of you. And we have to humble ourselves before God, right? That, they says in the Bible that John said, that I may decrease so that he may increase, right? Talking about Jesus. The more you get into leadership, the more lowly we must be in spirit. But I'm not saying go out there and be like, oh no, I'm nobody. No, for sure. You know what? Yes, God has placed me here. I'm in a place of leadership. I'm in a place of authority because God's giving me this ability. He's giving me these talents. He's giving me this opportunity, and I'm gonna be a good steward of it. Yes, that's all very important, and has to be happy for it. But we need to always remember, Lord, thank you for placing me here. Right? The moment we start saying, I got here, I made this, I did that, when we start putting I and not him, that's where we start getting in the mix up, right? We need to understand, right, that we are held to a higher standard. Yes. Why is that why is it that guy got this and I only got that? Why is it that, I'm always getting the one that I'm always the one getting in trouble? Why is it I'm always the one that gets affected for it? Well, you're the leader now, right? You need to be the one that takes the brunt for your people. You need to be the one that, hey, you talk to me first before you get to them, right? So in that position of leadership, there's a higher responsibility, there's a higher standard for you. Why? Because you're called to higher things, right? When you were young, you did young people things. When you were, obviously we're all still young, don't get me wrong. But when the Bible says that, when I was a child, I did child things. Now that I'm an adult, I need to do adult things, right? So when you were a kid and a baby Christian, obviously certain things you're like, okay, they're still learning. But now you've been there for 25 years. Maybe you've been there for a lot longer than that. And then you're wondering why God's holding you to a higher standard. Well, you should know better. Yeah, you should know. It's like a child, right? And I don't have kids, but I've worked, with teams that I've helped coach, like, little leagues and stuff like that. But it is, you allow certain things, right? Let's say for basketball, right? The kid starts, traveling. All right, you let that one slide a little bit. But if you're a senior, you should know better, right? A little kid goes, and slips up and, makes a lie. I'm not saying, says a lie. I'm not saying that's like, oh, okay, don't worry about it. No, you correct it, right? But they're young. Okay, maybe they were scared about something, but you're an adult lying about it on your application. You're an adult lying about your experience. You're gonna be an adult lying about X, Y, and Z. Come on, fam. Like, there comes a point where we need to realize, all right, hold on. I prayed for this. I asked for this. Now it's my responsibility to go through with it. Right? Now it's our responsibilities, and that's why I always said I always say, like, in my prayers, right? It is important. I want to word this correctly, that we stay sensitive to God's voice. And I've said this multiple times, right? Lord, yeah, keep me hungry, keep me motivated, but most importantly, keep me sensitive to your voice and then disciplined to act on it. You could hear the instructions, right? But then it's our job to be disciplined to act on it. If God's saying, hey, I need you to do this, this, and this, cool, God, cool, God, I heard you. But are you being disciplined to act on it? Hey, you know what? I need you to fast for 5 days. I need you to do this. I need you to do that, whatever. But now you're like, well, Lord, but see, now's not a good time. Now it's not really the best time for me. Can we check back a little bit? And God's, if I was God, I'd be like, hold on. You asked for me this immediately and I gave it to you. Now I'm asking you to do something like this. And you're like, oh no, it's not a good time. Right? As if we can tell God what to do. It is like, I laugh when I think about it because we do that. Lord, give me this, and that. Perfect. We get it. We're like, all right, God, cool. Now that I got it, I'm going to need 5 to 7 business days until I can respond back to what you're asking me to do. But thank you so much for giving me this. Right? And let's not lie. Let's not try to play holy and I've never done that, Rodrigo. All right, man. Let's be real, right? Let's stop sinning. But that's a lie right there because we do that. We get so Lord, if you give me this, if you help me pass this test, I promise you, I will go every single day. It's a small goal. I'll go every single day, to any meetings that I might have, Lord, whatever it is. And then all right, God helps you get that God helps you get on that team, on that audition, on that job, right? You're like, okay, cool. But see, Lord, now I'm busy. Well, hold on. You prayed for more. You prayed for that promotion and now you're busy? No, it should be, Lord, now that I'm in this position, help me steward this. Help me, go and reevaluate my time. Help me go and readjust myself and organize myself better to, go and take on this new assignment. Right? There is something that I probably before this video came out, if it hasn't come up yet, then here's a little surprise. But it was a quick little phrase that I heard and I put them all together. There's strength in the struggle. There's a purpose in your pain because your character needs to be equal to your calling, right? Your character has to match your calling. You have to trust the process, right? When I say that and then I hear it out loud, to myself right now, there's a certain little bit of all right, hold on, time out. What did you just say? Because there's strength in struggle. I don't want to struggle, but there's strength in it, right? In that struggle, when you're I'll use an example I always use, lifting weights, right? When you go and you're pushing and pushing, you're struggling, you finally get it up where you're growing, right? You grow stronger in that. There's a strength in the struggle, right? You get better at it. There's a purpose in the pain. No one wants to be in pain. But maybe, right, that separation from that group, that separation from that person, that separation from that job, from that thing, whatever it might be, right? What it would be for you. It might hurt at the beginning, right? But there's a purpose behind that, right? Your purpose is to get revealed when you pull yourself out of when God helps you, pull yourself out of that situation, right? When you remove yourself from some things. I've said it before. You're not isolated. You're separated, right? But there could be a pain in correlation when it comes to that, right? You know what? Maybe you have to go and let go of some childhood friends. Maybe you have to go, put better boundaries on certain people that you thought were a lot closer to you because you've been hurt, right? There's a purpose in the pain. You gotta find that because your character has to match your calling, right? You need to be a person of integrity, a man and a woman that when they say something, they mean it. That their word is their bond, that when they say it, it's you know what? All right, cool. So-and-so said it. That must be true. Boom. And your calling connects to your character because if your character is jacked up, it can then inflict a really bad damage to your calling, right? Because your calling is to do amazing, great things. But if you're not a man, you're not a woman of character, of good character, of strong character, of resilience, coming to God first, letting him lead you. If your character's jacked up, then in your calling, maybe you're called to go and minister to thousands of people. But because your character is jacked up, your calling gets affected by it because the people are like, well, hold on. And again, no one's perfect. But if you're constantly going and just messing up all the time, it's all right, hold on, bro. What are we doing here? You're supposed to be my example. You're supposed to be my example. But what are you doing? You're telling me to be faithful to my wife, but you're out there going and doing some wild things. You're telling me to be a good steward of my finances, but bro, you're up to your neck in debt. You get me? There's certain things, and now I'm not here to put condemnation or say anything's wrong with any, with sinning. Well, there's something wrong. Let me rephrase that. There's something very wrong with sinning, but I'm not saying we have to be perfect. Is what I'm trying to put into that. That's what we're putting it. I'm not saying that we need to have everything super lined up to be a testimony, right? But there's certain basics. Hey, don't lie. Hey, don't steal. There's certain things that we need to line ourselves up with, right? Our character needs to be good to go and be dialed. So then our calling can and our character can come together and like, okay, now we're going to what God's called us to do. Right. And then we have to trust that process. Right. That process might take a week. It might take a month. It might take a year. It might take a few years. But we need to trust that God's with us through that whole process. Yeah. Hopefully it's something that was really good for you guys. Something that they, spoke to your spirit. I know it did for me. So I wanted to go, hop on, and tell you, put on the camera on, tell you guys, about this. Cause I was very excited when God revealed this to me. There's a whole lot more stuff coming. So don't worry, don't prepare yourself. Get you some notebooks. Cause there's a lot of things that God's been showing me and there'll be some good teachable moments I want to share with you all. But I really want to put this one out first and something a little more like casual, nothing, with too many verses or anything. But yeah. Like there's a responsibility that lands on your shoulders as a leader, as a head of a household, as the man, the woman that God's called you to be. So don't complain about, being in that position of leadership and then having responsibilities, right? Ask God, Lord, how can I be better at this? How can I go and fulfill this calling you've given me? Yeah, it's that simple. When you allow God to show you those things, right? If God's called you to it, he will equip you to get through it. Yeah. I love you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of these talks. Follow me here on Instagram, also on Spotify. Both those links will be right over here. Also down in the bio. I love you guys. Stay safe. And as always, make it the best day ever. See you on the next time.